Hi, everybody. My name is Ivana Lahid, and I head up growth for Global Skills Hub. I'm currently located in Toronto, and I'm very excited to be part of your journey to Canada, starting with some foundational interview prep. Year after year, a major global report has indicated that Canadian cities such as Toronto, Waterloo, Vancouver, Montreal, and Ottawa are being identified as leading startup hubs in terms of funding, global connectedness, technical talent, founder ambition, and strategy. Like San Francisco and the Bay Area, Toronto and Waterloo form a corridor of startup innovation that is well connected to the global startup communities. Shifting over to British Columbia, boasts more than 100,000 people working in the tech sector, with Vancouver being home to between 2,100 and 2,700 active tech startups. Montreal is one of the main artificial intelligence strongholds in the country, and Ottawa, home to Shopify, of course, promotes itself as the country's capital of SaaS. Now, if we're looking just at Toronto alone, last year, Toronto has surpassed job growth from looking at San Francisco, Seattle, and Washington, D.C. combined. In 1 year alone, we created more than 28,000 new tech jobs for a total of more than 241,000 workers. So this is the opportunity. Canadian tech needs you. By the year 2021, it was reported that Canada will have a technical talent shortage of 216,000 workers. Canada needs highly skilled technologists to join our tech ecosystem, build from the ground up, to innovate, take risks and experiment, and to own a piece of something that can have real impact on the world. I hope you're as excited as we are. So let's dive into what companies are actually looking for. It goes without saying that companies are looking for candidates with very strong technical skills, but there are a group of traits that companies screen for, but often are not communicated or displayed enough during interviews. Number one is adaptable. Startups are looking for candidates that are adaptable in their working style. It's important because startups are constantly growing and changing. So try to emphasize stories that show your adaptability when it comes to relationships in the workplace. For example, how are you able to work effectively across different cultures? Or show your approach, your adaptability in your approach to solving different business problems. Number two is proactive. Startups are looking for candidates that can demonstrate how they take initiative. So tell stories about your proactive project and problem-solving approach. Collaborative. Collaboration is so critical to startups with their tighter and closely knit teams. In your storytelling, make sure you emphasize how this is a core component to how you operate on teams and what you overall value in different companies. Authentic. Authenticity has grown in importance when interviewing. It's the ability to confidently project your true self, which garners trust and a closer connection with the interviewer. It plays out in the workplace as well, as it drives a greater sense of belonging for employees, which overall drives better business performance. So don't focus so much on saying the right or the correct thing in the interview, but rather focus on expressing ideas and stories that mean something to you. Number five is strategic. All of you are at an intermediate or senior level position and will be joining teams in Canada that will require much more than just tactical thinking. You need to demonstrate a forward-looking mindset and big picture perspective by asking thoughtful questions with the company or product. And finally, is curious. Curiosity is of significant importance to startups as well. Demonstrating this trait is a strong indicator of other traits such as empathy, creativity, and innovation. So demonstrate how you love to learn and what your own interests and hobbies are outside of work. So I've outlined 6 different steps on how to prepare for an interview. Number one, if you can, use the product. Download the app, get onto the platform somehow to help you understand how you're going to create value for its user base. Number two is research the industry, research the space. So spend time researching the competitive space, different industry trends, and be able to articulate why you think this product is superior than its competitors. Number three is research the company. So spend time getting to the company by reviewing their website in detail, scanning their social media accounts, reviewing their cultural comments on glassdoor.ca, reviewing AngelList, and any other recent news articles and white papers. A simple Google search on the company and heading to the news section will go a long way for you. Number four would be research the interviewers. So Global Skills Hub will help you understand who you're going to be speaking with, of course. However, spend some time researching them yourselves as well. So identify various commonalities that you could use to help build rapport with them by scanning their LinkedIn. Number five is prepare some ideas. So spend time thinking about how you would solve these companies' problems and improve the product. And number six, prepare some questions. You will be given time at the very end to ask any questions. These questions could be, in terms of role expectations, company growth, company culture. So during the interview, I mentioned already a couple of slides prior that there are 6 traits that they look for. These are other things to remember as well. So show your passion and vulnerability. It's important to showcase what you're interested in outside of work. What are your passion projects? This helps to show your enthusiasm, curiosity, but don't forget to also be prepared to what you don't know. That means be prepared to be vulnerable. Number 2 would be display your entrepreneurial spirit. All of those traits I mentioned previously on the other slide all ladder up to this overall arching concept of an entrepreneurial spirit. So demonstrate your desire to grow the business, yourself alongside, and what your ambitions are in your career. Number 3, don't forget to adopt the right kind of tone. You'll quickly get a sense of whether or not the interviewer is formal or a little more friendly. Global Skills Hub will also help you understand what kind of tone to take, but be able to adapt to it on the fly. Number 4, and finally, is avoid being vague. I know everyone knows this already, but make sure you have concrete examples when making claims regarding your skill sets to boost your credibility. So different components of the interview process. There are 5 overall areas that may come across in different formats. Each of you will go through some level of screener interviews. What they're doing in these interviews is getting a quick pulse check on your genuine interest for the company and the role, what your communication abilities are, and whether or not you have the right technical frameworks. Number 2 would be a behavioral discussion. Sometimes this comes as a separate conversation to the technical discussion. Sometimes they combine them together. Essentially what they're looking for in the behavioral discussion are core competencies. So leadership, managing conflict, teamwork, problem solving, communication, organization, and so on. The technical discussion, they're looking for a depth of technical knowledge, technical communication, how you think technically, and what your past technical project successes and lessons learned were. Some companies, depending on how rigorous their interview process is, will also ask you to do a problem set and a presentation. So you'll either get a take home or you'll do it live. Essentially what they're looking for, again, is to assess your coding abilities, technical thought process, creativity in solving problems, and how you communicate your results. And then finally, you will have some form of a cultural fit discussion. So assessing for alignment with the company vision, values, and whether or not you can cohesively work with their team. Sometimes this part is embedded throughout the other sections, but they may also have at the very end where you're speaking with the hiring manager, you're speaking with the member of the executive team, and so on. So if we dive a little bit deeper on the behavioral discussion, I know you all have gone through a behavioral-based interview, but as a reminder, behavioral questions ask the candidate to recall a past experience and describe how they handled it. These questions tell the interviewer what your thought process is and what your past behaviors were, which to them indicates how you're going to behave in the future. So there's a framework that we really recommend you get familiar with. It's called the STAR method. For any behavioral-based question, again, which asks you to describe a past experience, it's very important to use this framework. So STAR, STAR. S would be, first off, you describe the situation that you were in. T is describe the goal, the task that you are working toward. A, describe the actions you took to address the situation. And then R is describe the results. What was the outcome of your actions? What did you accomplish? What did you learn? What was your success? So for example, tell me about the last project that you worked on. What worked and what didn't work? For that question, you would need to go through this framework twice. One, discussing a situation that worked, and one, describing a situation that did not work. Diving a bit deeper on the cultural fit discussion, company's culture is defined by the values, practices, and beliefs shared by the members of that company. So this can be displayed across practices, from hiring practices, how they make decisions, how they resolve differences of opinion, how they navigate change. Essentially, all of these ladder up to what is the unwritten but very real rule of behavior for this company. So there are different ways you can prove that you're a cultural fit. A few ways that I've outlined here is that Demonstrated you can solve the company's problems and get results. They're looking for that alignment, whether or not you understand how this company can move forward. Number 2 is, of course, show your passion for the company's mission, values, and goals. This will come through if you do your research on the company, understand what their mission is, and then find ways to demonstrate why this makes sense for your passions in this world. And number 3, another example to prove that you're a cultural fit, to express your intrinsic motivation. So what is your own personal purpose and mission in life? There's a few others on this slide as well, which you'll receive after this webinar, but it's important to remember that they'll be looking for these types of aspects when they're discussing cultural fit. And then finally, I wanted to leave you with this one slide here in hopes that it will inspire you. Canadian tech companies are interested in your full life story. They want to understand you as a human being, as an avid mountain climber, or as a new parent. So when you go into these interviews, you need to be comfortable discussing these parts of your lives. So think about what your passions are, what your values are, what inspires you, and who influences you in your life. Tell your story. They're looking for you to express the real you, not just your resume to you. So that's it for me. I hope you learned something new in this webinar. You will all receive a PDF version of this deck, and in the appendix, you will see some practice questions to help you prepare. All the best and good luck.